I'm not ashamed to admit I'm having a blast on this KTM 790 adventure so far. It's one of the most fun adventure bikes I've ever ridden, and I'm getting real close to the 1,000 miles for the 1,000-mile review that I want to do. Having said that, I promised you the ins and outs, the good and bad of the ownership experience after I bought this bike, and well, let me tell you about the most expensive oil change of my life. Obvious questions out of the way. Why did you take it to the dealership? Well, normally I wouldn't, but since I'm trying to suss out the good and the bad of the ownership experience of this bike, I wanted to do what some people will do and take it to the dealership for service. On top of that, KTM is now offering to extend your warranty by 2 years if you have all your services done at the dealership, and given the, shall we say, inconsistent reliability of this particular engine and this model, I felt it was prudent to get a warranty extension if I could. So I took it to the dealership for the first service. No hate to this particular dealership. In fact, I've blacked out their name. They use KTM's service recommendation software. It tells them what to charge and what to do. I have the document from that program, which I will show you. So no hate to this dealership. They're just charging what KTM has asked them to charge and the amount of labor that KTM tells them it should take to do it. So all that aside, let's look at the receipt. So here's the bad news. The total cost of the first KTM recommended service came to $375.03 US. $375 for an oil change and an inspection. When I called and they quoted me that, I was like literally speechless. And then I said $375 for an oil change, and they said, well, we do this whole inspection rigmarole. And I was like, okay, well, sign me up. So I got it itemized, as you can see. The oil filter was $20.98. Was that 3 quarts of Moto-Trex oil, $55 for the oil, and then a $1.30 O-ring, which brings parts cost to $77.03. Okay, not cheap, but like that's reasonable for an oil change these days. However, I needed 2 hours of labor to complete the service, which came to a grand total of $298. All jobs subtotal, $375.03, $1.50 in tax, $376.53 out of my pocket for the first service. So let's look at what did they do beyond just an oil change for $376. You can see here, this is just printed off of Service Manager Pro, which I'm pretty sure is KTM's just service recommendation software from the manufacturer. You can see I've got a KTM 790 Adventure. It's not white, but whatever. I don't think that matters in terms of what you're doing to it. So they didn't have to clear any codes because I didn't have any. So this is the inspection and adjustments they did in the 2 hours they charged me for. Check the headlight alignment. Notice nothing was off because it's a brand new bike, but whatever, they had to check it. Electrical system, the shift shaft sensor. Did a road test. It was good. Checked all the control pivot shafts and didn't even lube them, just checked them. They were good. Engine oil strainer screen, both were cleaned. Good, great. New oil filter, new engine oil. Awesome, super good. They checked the clutch lubricating oil nozzle. It was clean, great. Checked the air cleaner, drain tube. It was clean. I've been told that this is where dust is coming in from on these models, so good that they checked that. That's one of the dust ingestion points I've heard. They checked the cooling system, checked the radiator, coolant, hoses and fans, all good. Check the radiator coolant for leaks, no leaks. Now, if I'd had that hose clamp issue, I guess they would have found it on this service. Check the brakes, they all work as good. Check the brake pads and shoes, good. Brake discs, good. Brake lines, good. Brake fluid, clear, good. It better be, there's 600 miles on this bike. They checked the clutch fluid, checked the clutch system for replay. They did lube my chain, so there you go. An oil change is 100 and something bucks. The other 250 bucks was to lube the chain. So yay, we got that done. Check the steering head bearings, check the wheels and tires, inspect the tire condition and wheel bearings, chassis nuts and bolts. Check the forks, no leaks, good condition. Again, I hope so, but I guess if there was something wrong, it'd be neat if they caught it so they could fix it under warranty, but 600 miles. I'm not shocked that nothing was wrong. Shock absorber assembly. That's it. That was the date. Here's the oil they put in. So those 2 pages of things cost me $376.53. Hilariously, I got there, I talked to the service writer, I was like, 400 bucks, what the hell? And she goes, first KTM? And I said, not technically, but it is the first one that I haven't worked on myself. So there's good reason to do your own maintenance on the KTM, and I'm not saying that this is a required part of ownership, but it is a part of ownership for some people, particularly if you want that warranty extended. Now, admittedly, I've never had a bike serviced at the dealership before. I always do my own oil changes. Maybe $400 is not out of the question. Maybe that's what it always costs. I actually don't know, but it sure seems excessive to me that it took them 2 hours to make sure that everything that the delivery inspection should have checked was still good. Now again, if there'd been something off and they'd caught it and fixed it under warranty, cool, but maybe that isn't something they should be charging for. I don't know. Good or bad, for ill or for nil, doesn't make any sense. $376.53. That's the first service on this thing. Now, the adventure bikes don't need to be serviced that often, so it can probably be done once a year. That's my plan going forward, unless I just put a ton of miles on it, which I have 2 adventure bikes, so it's unlikely that I'll put a ton of miles on one. They tend to get split pretty evenly. But we shall see. So tell me, do you own a KTM? Have you owned a KTM? What has the cost of ownership been like compared to other motorcycles that you've owned? If you do your services at the dealership, maybe you own a BMW or a Honda, how does this number compare? Let us know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious. That is the ugly truth of having your first service done, at least on a 2024 KTM 790. It's gonna run you $400. So if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing, because more 790 content to come, including, I'm at like 960 miles. So I wanna get it up to 1,000. We'll do that 1,000-mile review. And then the plan is to keep riding this thing for a while to see if anything fails on it, because that's the point of buying it. Also, if you got something useful out of this video, or if you hate paying for overpriced oil changes, maybe consider hitting the like button. That really helps, makes the videos more visible, costs you nothing, takes 2 seconds. Click on that like button, it's super fun. And please consider subscribing, because I'm the dork on the road and I want to be your internet riding buddy, and I'm better than your regular riding buddies because I come with a mute button. Thank you for watching, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other.
Excellent!
You should listen to that advice, KTM. Stop charging people $400 for oil changes. Wink.